I'm the most cherished daughter-in-law in my husband's family. In the dead of night, a sudden shrill shriek woke me up. When I quickly threw on a robe and ran downstairs to the living room, I saw my precious sister, Chloe, sobbing on the sofa. My parents sat nearby, faces pale, and on the other side was my boyfriend, Alex. Seeing me arrive, she immediately put on a pitiful, frightened-o act, eyes red and mouth trembling, feigning weakness and clinging to my back. I frowned, looking at my dear sister wearing my own pajamas, vaguely guessing the twisted game she was playing. At this moment, my parents, who always indulged her, chimed in. "Look at what kind of person you brought home. He beat your sister like that." I turned to Alex beside me. He looked more like the one who had been assaulted. "Did you really hit her?" Alex blinked innocently, then nodded. Seeing this, my parents immediately started yelling and cursing without bothering to ask for the whole story. Just like my childhood, no matter how much Chloe provoked me or how transparent her schemes were, my parents always pretended to be oblivious, defending her fiercely. HMPH, birds of a feather flock together. Trashy school records and a trashy boyfriend, too. "What are you two muttering about?" Alex suddenly spoke, his voice ice-cold. He'd endured all the bad-mouthing they'd done before, but when they turned their attack on me, he finally erupted. "Who the hell are you to butt in?" Alex's face darkened. He took a step forward, practically spitting fire, but I held his arm tightly. I shook my head, signaling him to hold back. Everything needed to be understood from its roots. I don't believe Alex would just lash out for no reason, especially since this is his first visit, and he barely knows Chloe. Why would he attack her? Can't you see he's a drunken lunatic? You ungrateful brat, siding with a stranger when your own sister was assaulted. No matter how loud the argument got, Chloe remained silent as a clam from start to finish. "Tell me, why did you hit her?" I glanced at Alex, signaling him to reveal the whole truth, sparing no one's feelings. "I took a few sips of wine tonight and went to bed early. I was just dozing off when I saw a dark silhouette looming. She lifted the blanket, trying to slip right in. I panicked, thinking she was an intruder. I didn't know who she was at all." As Alex spoke, Chloe's sobbing abruptly stopped. My parents' faces kept shifting between purple and yellow. My father turned to Chloe, who quickly turned away, overwhelmed with shame. "He's lying. That's a blatant lie." Cornered by me, Chloe started to babble incoherently, then began to tremble, unable to utter a full sentence. "No, I woke up for a drink late at night, and he dragged me into the room and he tried to harass me." She recounted this, still teary, showing no shame in twisting black and white. Seeing her tearing up, my mother rushed over, hugging Chloe affectionately. "Mom, you two are crying, but why were you wearing my pajamas at midnight, and why were you lurking around in the house?" Chloe didn't expect me to focus on details. In the past, I would usually swallow my anger and let things go because my parents always indulged her, which only made her more arrogant. "Vivian, this is my home. I can wander around and do whatever I want. Can you control me?" I looked at my parents, and they nodded, agreeing with Chloe. "Alex, let's go." I turned around, took Alex's hand, and headed for the door. I was fed up with this den and didn't want to stay a second longer. "Stop right there. How can you believe a stranger and not your own flesh and blood?" My mother came forward, grabbing my hand, her eyes red not for me but for her darling daughter. "Why not? Try to think who would still trust someone who has lied and smeared them since childhood, someone who uses every trick to suck up to adults." Slap. I clutched my stinging face, tasting the metallic flavor of blood, my left cheek swelling. I stared blankly at them. "Fine, if that's the case, let's call the police." Alex looked at me heartbroken. The scene had happened so fast he hadn't even had time to shield me. "Mom, no." At this moment, Chloe pulled my mother back. "My sister rarely comes home. Even if it's not the first time she's brought a man home, I don't want to involve the police. Let's just drop it." In short, she'd erased all traces and successfully turned herself into the miserable victim. "Cut out your crude scheming. Do you think everyone is blind and stupid? I, Alex, am Vivian's first love. Stop fabricating stories to smear my girlfriend, or I'll call the police and charge you with slander." Alex's lips curved, but the atmosphere was chilling. He looked fierce, like a rooster protecting his flock. I almost burst out laughing. Chloe's eyes were red as she tugged at my mother, stepping forward and shaking her head with a tear-soaked face. "Look at your sister. I'm so disappointed in you, Vivian. To act like this as the elder sister is a disgrace to the Thompson name." With that, my loving mother turned, hugging Chloe tightly, anxiously checking her scratches. "Old Thompson, call a car for the hospital now. Having such a cruel daughter is just bad luck." she muttered while heading inside to grab things. My father hastily called a car. I told Alex to go to my room and pack my belongings. At that moment, only Chloe and I were left in the living room. Chloe sprawled on the sofa. Her injuries weren't serious, just minor scratches from Alex pushing her off the bed. I rarely returned to this den. If I wasn't planning to marry Alex this time, I wouldn't have subjected myself to this. Alex quickly gathered my things. I pulled him away without looking back. On the way home, he drove straight to the big city hospital. Even though I kept insisting the slap was nothing, he stubbornly took me for an examination. Alex rarely loses his temper. Normally, everything is negotiable, but when he's mad, oh boy. Why don't you let me take care of everything? Hearing this, I turned to look at him, his profile captivating, sharp features, deep, enchanting eyes. I'm fine, but I feel bad for you. The first time you visited my home, you ran into this drama. I gently stroked his face. No wonder Chloe dared to risk everything with all sorts of seductions. Any girl would be smitten by a face this handsome. My words made Alex's face light up. He grinned from ear to ear. I thought this absurd farce was over, but no, Chloe followed through, using her medical report to call Alex, demanding compensation or else she'd sue for harassment. I hung up, opening my laptop to check the camera in my bedroom. The video showed Chloe sneaking into the room at midnight. First, she reached out to touch Alex's face, then lifted the blanket and slipped in, only to be startled and pushed away by Alex. That wasn't all. Exposed, she still tried to climb back on. Hugging Alex tightly and starting her act, Alex immediately hit her. Harassment my foot. My precious sister is truly insane. After copying the video, I drove to the hospital. Chloe was stunned to see my unexpected arrival, immediately putting on a weak facade. I froze, watching my family's act, which was incredibly disgusting. Vivian, I don't care how much you hate this family, but now your sister is like this. The Sterlings must cough up the money, or don't blame us for making a scene. Oh, look at the stubborn mother and the enraged father. What the hell are they? Are they really my biological parents? The couple was aggressively demanding justice for their precious sister, exactly like when I was a child. I was clearly the top student, but they only praised her mediocre academic performance, even forcing me to tutor her. I still remember my mother snarling back then, "If your sister doesn't get into college, you won't get to go either." I was always just the spare part in this house. They've indulged her since the day she and I were born. "How much do you want?" Mrs. Thompson glanced at her husband, then at Chloe, slowly stating, $50,000. I burst out laughing. The three people in the room stared at me blankly. Years ago, Chloe coveted a car, but was short exactly $50,000. Back then, my mother hounded me for the money to buy it for her. Of course, I refused to be foolish and give it to them because that den was the root of all my life's misfortunes. "Why are you laughing, sis?" Chloe frowned, glaring at me, her eyes full of bitter envy. I don't know why my sister hated me from birth, constantly undermining me. She stole everything from me, even trying to monopolize my parents' affection. It seems years of indulgence made her delusional, thinking she could do whatever she wanted. "What if I don't give it to you?" "Vivian, whose child are you?" my mother yelled at me. Chloe's eyes were red, on the verge of tears. My father was about to rush over and hit me, but a second later, the room door burst open. Alex stood outside, impeccable suit, shiny leather shoes, the silver-rimmed glasses adding to his noble, sophisticated look. His face was dark, his lips tightly sealed. He stepped in and pulled me into his arms. $500,000. From now on, if you ever harass Vivian again, we'll see you in court. Alex pulled out a bank card, and his private lawyer followed, handing over a settlement agreement. My parents' eyes lit up at the sight of the money, but Chloe's face was flushed as she glared at Alex. "Still dreaming, huh? Alex, wait for me in the car." I looked at him gently. Alex glanced at me worriedly but left the room and closed the door. "Vivian, why are you holding the card? Give it to your sister now." Before my mother could snatch it, I pulled a USB drive from my pocket. I forgot to mention that ever since Chloe started snooping around my room, I installed a hidden camera. This is the entire drama from that night. MMM. I watched it and had to admit my sister was truly audacious. I looked up at Chloe. Her face was crimson, her chest heaving violently, her hands tightly clenched. My parents were momentarily confused, turning to look at Chloe. "This is the Thompson home. How dare you install a camera? Chloe trembled, mumbling incoherently. I walked closer to her with a wide grin and slipped the USB drive into her hand. I leaned in close to her ear and whispered, "If you don't want Mom and Dad to see that footage, then you better behave." I stood up, wishing Chloe good health and a quick recovery, then turned and left under their stunned gazes. After I left, Chloe clenched the USB drive in her hand and gritted her teeth. "Mom and Dad, you see. Vivian has climbed high and become a phoenix. I don't know what kind of dirty tricks she'll pull on me out of spite later. And no matter how rich she is, she won't care about our family. $50,000 is nothing to the Sterlings, yet she refused to spare a single cent. If I marry into the Sterling family, I'll definitely take care of the Thompson family lavishly. Mom, I love Alex. Please help me." Tears streamed down Chloe's pale face. She looked pathetic. My mother, who cherished her like gold, couldn't bear to see her daughter suffer. She immediately nodded rapidly, tenderly wiping Chloe's tears. I don't know what crazy plan Chloe was concocting, but she seemed determined to steal the title of Mrs. Sterling. When I stepped out of the hospital room, Alex was still standing there waiting for me in the hallway. Seeing me, he rushed over, held my hand, and gently stroked the bank card. "Vivian, I don't want those people bothering you constantly. If this money can get you out of being entangled with them later, it's worth every penny." He stroked my hair, leading me out with a look of pain. In the darkest, most desperate years of my life, Alex was always there, encouraging me, pushing me to persevere. If not, that night I would have collapsed, letting myself sink into the cold water. "Alex, I know you're good to me, but love is just between us two. I don't want you to suffer any injustice because of me. Moreover, that money shouldn't be given, and it definitely shouldn't be given to those people. Giving them money will only make them greedier and demand more." I pressed the card back into Alex's hand. He laughed, kissing me on the cheek, then hugged me tight. "Then listen to my wife. Let your husband buy you a new bag." Alex drove me to the shopping district, indulging in a massive shopping spree. Afterward, we went to a private restaurant for dinner. Right after ordering, the restaurant lights suddenly went out. Alex had just gone to the restroom. I sat waiting, feeling a little awkward and embarrassed. A second later, candlelight flickered. Alex reappeared, holding a vibrant bouquet of roses. The atmosphere became intensely romantic. The gentle music filled me with pure happiness. My eyes were glued to Alex's silhouette until he came closer and knelt. "Vivian, I know this might be sudden, but I can't wait another second. I want to marry you now, bring you home, care for you, and protect you. I promise to give you the wedding of your dreams and a perfect life. I've waited for this day for so long." His voice trembled slightly. My eyes blurred. I looked at the sparkling diamond ring, the one I had fleetingly mentioned. He remembered it all. "Vivian, marry me." I think Alex is the best gift God ever gave me. His presence brought light into my dark life. I nodded without hesitation, shedding tears of joy and saying, "Yes." I extended my hand. Alex tremblingly slipped the ring onto my finger, then hugged me amidst the resounding applause, placing a kiss on my lips. After the lights came back on, I looked at the cheering crowd. It was Alex's family and friends. Mrs. Sterling's eyes were red. She rushed over, grasping my hands, asking endless questions. "This boy Alex finally did something right. You are the daughter-in-law the Sterlings acknowledge. If he dares to bully you, tell me, and I'll deal with him for you." Mrs. Sterling had cherished me like her own daughter since the first time we met. Her relatives cared for me meticulously, making me feel the genuine family warmth I had lacked for so long. "Thank you, both of you." After dinner, Alex and I went back to his mansion. He had had a little wine, so he rushed to shower first. I scrolled through my phone, debating for a long time before deciding to inform my parents. When the call connected, I was incredibly nervous, my heart pounding. "Why are you calling, Vivian?" Hearing my mother's gentle voice, I was a little surprised but went straight to the point. "Okay, so when are you two having the engagement ceremony?" "I thought you were still upset about the thing with Chloe, but seeing you and Alex so happy now, your father and I are both thrilled for you. Vivian, you'll always be my daughter. We're family. Don't blame Chloe anymore, the girl realized her mistake." I don't know why, but tears welled up. After hanging up, I saw Alex standing behind me. He must have heard the noise and rushed out, water still dripping from his body. A towel wrapped around his taut waist, a perfect body with rippling muscles. Truly a living Adonis fresh out of the shower. I couldn't help but stare. Seeing my eyes red, he rushed to hug me, comforting me. My hands touched his chest and I subconsciously swallowed hard. Alex, let me go first." My face was burning. Alex saw this and refused to let go. He bent down, lifted me, and headed for the bedroom. "My dear wife, I have something I want to whisper to you all night long." A few days later, I finished my work at the company. Alex gave me time off to choose a wedding dress, venue, and other things for the engagement. Just as I drove away from the house, my mother called. "Vivian, I heard you're choosing a venue and outfit for the engagement today. It's such a big deal. Why didn't you tell me? I took the day off. I'm coming with you. Where are you? I'll come find you." I had been living separately for a long time. This was the first time my mother had asked about my whereabouts. A strange feeling surged in my heart. Maybe I'm just overly suspicious. They are still my flesh and blood. They are still my parents. "Mom, where are you? I'll pick you up." I drove back home. Chloe was also waiting outside the door. From afar, she saw me, smiling widely, waving, then running over to hug my arm sweetly. "Sister, I thought you were still mad at me and wouldn't see me." When Chloe pretended to be an innocent white flower, she was truly hard to fault. Faced with the unusual change in the whole family, though suspicious, I still smiled brightly, keeping a straight face. On the way, Chloe sat in the passenger seat, chattering endlessly. "Sister, isn't this ring the special edition for this Lunar New Year? It's dazzling." Chloe looked at the diamond ring on my hand, her face full of envy, then turned to our mother. "This ring is not something just anyone can order. Only VIP members have the right. The price is astronomical and each one is unique." As she spoke, I vaguely felt her teeth grinding with jealousy. Sure enough, smiling face, hateful heart. But whatever, as long as she didn't repeat her previous foolishness. As the older sister, I still allowed her to tag along. Anyway, after the marriage, I didn't plan on having much to do with them. As for my parents' care, I would ensure they were well taken care of in their old age. I'd ignore everything else. Although Alex let me decide everything myself, his assistant had already prepared a detailed plan and sent it to me. Inside, it listed the pros and cons of major brands and provided suggestions for me to choose from. I picked a few styles I liked, reasonably priced, unique designs, avoiding embarrassing the sterlings but not being overly ostentatious either. Chloe was unusually enthusiastic today, constantly bustling around to help me choose a dress. I tried on 3 outfits in a row. She shook her head fiercely at all of them. When the clerk brought out a high-end dress from this year's brand new collection, the moment the dress appeared, Chloe's eyes lit up like a starving wolf's. Actually, not just her, but I was captivated too. When I put it on, it looked tailor-made for me. I felt a little awkward until the saleswoman whispered that Alex had asked the designer to custom make it for me. I smiled sweetly, my heart melting. But I didn't notice Chloe's face darkening, her hands clenched as if she wanted to crush something. After settling on the engagement dress, I planned to go to the hotel for a food tasting for the party, but my mother and Chloe insisted on recommending another place, claiming they knew the manager and could get a significant discount. I frowned but was dragged along anyway. The hotel was surprisingly lively, and the food was decent. In the end, because they took turns persuading me, I asked Alex, and he said everything was up to me. So I nodded in agreement. When I got home, Alex had already prepared dinner and was waiting. He reached out to take my bags, hugged me tight, helped me change my shoes, and asked if I was tired from running around all day. Not tired, just a little mentally drained. My ears were still ringing with Chloe's voice. It was truly exhausting. "Thank you for your hard work, my wife, but why were your mother and she following you?" Alex was curious. It made sense. My relationship with that family was notoriously bad. It was obvious there was huge drama just recently. Now they'd done a complete 180. "Not just you, I'm a little suspicious too. Maybe their consciences woke up. After all, they are my flesh and blood. Besides, Mr. Sterling is so generous. The betrothal gifts were truly spectacular." I wrapped my arms around his neck and gave him a quick kiss. "Because your Vivian is worth it." My eyes were red. Alex quickly kissed my eyelids, comforting me gently. There, don't cry. "Eat, these are all your favorite dishes." On the day of the engagement ceremony, relatives and friends filled the place. I was having my makeup done in the hotel suite. Chloe was bustling around helping. The party was scheduled to start at 6:00 p.m. After everything was done, the makeup artist gathered her tools and left quickly. Now only Chloe and I were left in the room. She was also dressed stunningly today, a tight white dress, meticulously styled hair. She slowly walked up behind me, looking in the mirror. Actually, my sister and I look quite alike. She placed her hands on my shoulders, looking at me in the mirror and smiling. Sister, we look exactly alike, don't we? It's hard to tell us apart without looking closely. Her voice was flat, emotionless. Identical twins look alike, it's normal. She narrowed her eyes and nodded, leaning her face close to mine. The expression in the mirror gradually distorted. But so what? You're lucky, marrying into a wealthy family, while I fall short of you in every way. My heart jumped. I tried to struggle but found my body limp, unable to move. I looked through the mirror at the glass on the dressing table, frowning and asking, "What did you do to me?" Chloe straightened up, lightly tapping the glass, no longer bothering to feign innocence. She turned and shook the glass in front of me. "Just a little sleeping drug. You can just sleep soundly in the room. I will marry Alex in your place. I forgot to tell you, even if Alex notices, it won't matter. I've prepared a big surprise for everyone." She suddenly pounced on my neck, her eyes bloodshot, like a demon crawling out of hell. "You thought installing a camera could scare me? Then I'll show the world how Alex tried to harass me. The Sterling family has such a reputation in the business world. If they want to save face, they'll have no choice but to marry me. Ha 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 ha." With that, she roughly shoved me aside. Before my mind completely clouded over, I saw her strip off my dress and put on my ring, and push me into the bathroom stall. I couldn't do anything. I didn't even have the strength to struggle. Tears poured down my face. My heart ached for Alex, but I still succumbed to the damned drug. I drifted into unconsciousness. Chloe pulled down her veil and slowly walked toward Alex amidst the crowd's well wishes. However, Alex instantly noticed she wasn't Vivian, but he still pretended to be oblivious, reaching out to grasp her hand, standing together on the platform. At that moment, my parents sat in the guest seating, smiling broadly at the couple on stage, too excited to speak. But a second later, Alex leaned in and whispered to Chloe, still not giving up. Chloe froze, blinking blankly, but immediately smiled gently. "Don't panic. I have a huge surprise for you, Alex." Alex raised an eyebrow, speaking louder. "Oh." A second later, Chloe turned to the crowd in the hotel ballroom. "Today, I also prepared a video recorded by Alex and me as a gift for everyone. Thank you all for supporting our love." Chloe glanced at Alex, but seeing he wasn't panicked, she felt a slight unease. But whatever. In no time, this clip would explode on hot search and become the headline of major newspapers. And only she deserved to be the true Mrs. Sterling. But when Chloe saw the clip on the giant screen, her face turned as white as a corpse. In the clip, Chloe was fooling around with a group of thugs, drinking, smoking, and getting into fights. They were even groping her, but Chloe clearly looked delighted, not forced. Chloe froze dead. Conversely, our mother in the guest seating snapped out of it, rushing onto the platform and screaming for the staff to turn off the clip. At this moment, Chloe finally woke up, stumbling, nearly falling, crawling toward Alex, her voice hoarse, asking, "Was it you? Did you do this?" Alex shoved her away. Chloe slipped and fell backward. He calmly pulled out a handkerchief and slowly wiped the hand that had just touched her. Moreover, the clip wasn't just that scene. It gathered her history of debauchery over the years. "Chloe, aren't you afraid the school will find out about your relationship with Professor Ryan?" "Afraid of what?" "If it gets out, just blame Vivian entirely. Anyway, my reputation has already been ruined by her. Mom and Dad only love me and don't care about her." Chloe in the clip was utterly vicious, now pulling every dirty trick but not hesitating to frame her own sister. And this time, she risked everything to steal Alex, not just because the Sterlings are rich, but because she was pregnant. But even she didn't know who the baby's father was. She was eager to sneak into my room when Alex was drunk, pretending to be harassed, then using the pregnancy to marry him, even making Alex wear a cuckold's hat. Clever scheming, but she completely underestimated Alex's love for me, even thinking he was stupid enough to let her manipulate him. She truly was deluded, thinking she could compare her schemes with the seasoned business tycoons. And the truth behind her smearing me for years finally came out. My parents collapsed, falling to their knees. The police launched a thorough investigation. When I opened my eyes, I was lying in the mansion. Alex sat beside me all night. Seeing me wake up, he anxiously asked about my condition. Actually, it was nothing serious. Chloe didn't intend to be so vicious as to kill me. The sleeping drug was mild. I smiled and said I was fine, but Alex rushed to hug me tightly, burying his head in my neck. Feeling the warmth and dampness spread, I realized he was truly crying. "Vivian, it's because I was a step too slow." I gently patted his back, soothing him softly. "I'm okay, luckily I'm fine. Otherwise, I wouldn't know how I could live without you." "What nonsense are you talking about?" I pinched his forehead, wiping the moisture from his face. He stood up, kissed my forehead, then went to the kitchen and brought a bowl of hot porridge, meticulously feeding me spoon by spoon. "Chloe is utterly filthy. If Vivian wants her to pay, I will put her in jail for life," Alex muttered while feeding me. That moment I suddenly remembered. "What happened next?" Alex shook his head firmly, his face cold, urging me to finish the bowl of porridge. "Listen to me and rest. Leave the rest to me. You've endured enough injustice over the years, now it's her turn to face the consequences." I was stunned for a long time, thinking about all the old things, sighing softly. But how could my parents stand by and watch Chloe ruin her life? They couldn't sway Alex, so they would certainly try to pester me. "Vivian. Mom knows Chloe committed a terrible mistake, but she's only 23. Her life has just begun and she's pregnant. Can you beg Alex to go easy on her?" The mother on the other end cried hysterically. Hearing it felt like a knife slicing my heart, painful enough to choke on. We are both her daughters, but even when the truth was exposed, she still chose to side with Chloe, ignoring all the injuries I had endured over the years, not even offering a decent apology. I thought my mother's spontaneous call that day, wanting to choose a dress with me for the engagement, was because they finally realized the debt they owed their daughter, their conscience biting them. Little did I know it was an opportunity for my mother to help scoundrels like Chloe. "Mom, I just want to ask, did you know what Chloe was planning?" Although the truth was clear, I still wanted to hear it directly from her. Time ticked by. There was only heavy sighing on the other end. After a moment, my mother replied in a faint, fleeting voice. "Vivian, Mom." Suddenly, I sighed in relief. The bond of blood that had tied us for so long vanished in an instant. They never considered me their flesh and blood. So let the law decide. I hung up. I didn't know when tears had started streaming down my face. I looked at Alex. His steadfast gaze dispelled all my fears. Even if the path ahead was rough, with intense public pressure, even facing moral criticism, I wouldn't flinch. Because now I knew there was someone always by my side, holding my hand and moving forward, a firm support. The next day, Alex accompanied me to the police station. When I came downstairs to the living room, the entire Sterling family was already waiting. Mrs. Sterling burst into tears when she saw me, saying I had suffered too much injustice. After this incident, she would definitely take care of me meticulously, ensuring I never suffered again. I smiled and comforted her, telling her not to worry or bother herself. "Vivian will always be your support, the Sterling's support." Mr. Sterling laughed heartily, patting my shoulder. He gave Alex a look, signaling him to take good care of me. The whole family originally wanted to go with me, but this was a huge matter, so I politely declined with a smile. At the police station, I ignored the advice from relatives. When the police called for my statement, I stood up, ready to enter, but my mother grabbed my arm. "Vivian, are you really not going to forgive your sister? She's your own flesh and blood." Even at this moment, my birth mother was only worried about Chloe. "Mom, anyone who does wrong must pay the price. Otherwise, what are laws for?" Hearing my retort, my mother's chest heaved violently, clearly livid. "Fine, very well. If that's the case, the Thompson family is disowning a daughter like you from now on. Since you're so insistent today, let's just cut ties completely." I looked at my mother, then at my father behind her. Their attitudes were rock solid. I forced a smile, swallowing back my tears, clenching my fists, walking straight without looking back. After everything settled, Chloe was sentenced to 5 years in prison. The thugs associated with her were also dragged in, including the dignified Professor Ryan. They took a DNA test. The child turned out to be his. The old man, nearly 40, with children already in high school, was exposed. At this point, Professor Ryan completely denied it, insisting Chloe was a temptress who seduced him. I don't care how they tear each other apart now. From now on, I am done with the Thompson family. Half a year later, we had our wedding on an island. The hot summer was full of vitality, just like this fairy tale wedding. I wore a pure white wedding dress, walked arm in arm with Mr. Sterling SR, and slowly proceeded toward Alex. Although I had dreamt of this day countless times, when it actually happened, I still saw his hand trembling, tears streaming down uncontrollably. He knelt on one knee on the sand, offering me the bouquet. I reached out to take it. "Mr. Sterling, SR," placed my hand in Alex's, weaving our fingers together. "Mr. Sterling, SR," whispered instructions to Alex. "From now on, you must be a good husband, take care of your family properly, and most importantly, love Vivian unconditionally." Alex nodded firmly. Under the cheering of all the witnesses, we exchanged rings and kissed under the fiery sunset. A year later, I gave birth to beautiful twin girls. Alex was overjoyed, holding one in his left arm and one in his right, constantly clinging to his two princesses. He spoiled them immensely. Even when their grandparents wanted to hold them for a bit, he reluctantly let go. This is the happiest time of my life. I am content with my current life. I hope this happiness lasts forever. I have a family that genuinely loves me. A husband who treats me like his queen, and two adorable daughters. For me, this is a complete life.